Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're joining us from, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Peter Ture from Business Review, and I'll be your host today. It is our pleasure to have with us MotiveLMS, who will be presenting us on the topic titled Qualification Management and Customer Service for Technical Employees in the Aviation and Energy Sectors. Now, today's guest speakers of us will be Donald Roberts, who is the MotiveLMS Product Manager, and we have with us Carla Roberts, who is the President at MotiveLearning. I'd like to welcome everyone here to On24. You notice that this platform is browser-based, so if you do disconnect for any reason whatsoever, please click on the link that you received via email to rejoin the session. In order to ask questions, you can send them in via the questions widget. That's the box at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Just type in your question and click submit. We'll then allocate some time at the end of the session to address any thoughts or questions that you may have. Please also use the yellow help widget in case you need any assistance to move, resize, and maximize any of the screens in front of you to help get a better view of today's session with MotiveLearning. But for now, please allow me to hand you over to our speaker for the day. Carla, over to you.
Well, thank you, Peter. I think we're going to show a video right off the start. So just let me know when that's rolling. But so while we introduce ourselves, just take a look at this video. By the way, it is not me in this video, but I am Carla Roberts, and I'm owner of MotiveLearning. And for 25 years, I've created e-learning for various technical subjects, from radar systems to flight crew training. And for the past 10 years, I've concentrated on competency-based learning, helping organizations to improve their learning strategy.
Well, this isn't me in the video either. I'm Donald Roberts, Product Manager of the MotiveLMS Qualification Management System. My background is project management for successful rollouts of software systems. 5 years ago, we upgraded our Motive Learning Management System to incorporate functionality of a qualification management system to meet the needs of our customers.
Okay, so let's talk about this video. It went viral a few years ago, and it is a great setup for this webinar and how to use qualification management to increase customer confidence. Now, we hope you're getting a good laugh off of this video, but would anyone say that this employee is representing the company in a good manner? I hope not. But let's go ahead and we'll start the webinar. So we'll go to the next slide. I'll go ahead and get that up. Are we looking good, Peter? Are we on the slide?
Yes, we're on the slide. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So the conversation today is a bit more serious when there are lives at stake if someone is not performing their job correctly. No one wants to see any mishaps happen due to a non-qualified employee.
Now, we all know that sometimes human factors may be a cause in workplace incidents. But today we're going to discuss how to remove any corporate negligence of having workers in the field with inadequate skills. Do you have employees in your organization that have to complete safety or technical training to perform their job? I've always worked around large equipment. Then I became a project manager and managed team members on government contracts. For the most part, I always did what was needed to fulfill the contract, all along staying within the scope of the contract, basically following the rules that were set before me. But then I had a learning management customer come to me and ask for something that no one else had ever asked before. They asked, how can we prove to our customers that our fuelers are qualified to work on their aircraft? I had never thought of a learning management system as a way to communicate to a customer. To me, it was just a system to provide electronic training that could be monitored by an internal training department. Providing that data to an external customer, in my opinion, was outside the scope of the system. Today, we're reporting every day to our customers qualification data so they can work on aircraft, work on airport ramps, and work in other various facilities around the airports.
So let's begin. This session will discuss how developing a role-based qualification model that ensures employees are qualified to perform their job increases customer satisfaction, resulting in the retention of customers while reducing the risk of noncompliance with industry regulatory bodies. We will start with understanding the next generation of learning management systems. Then we will follow up with the best practices in role-based qualification design. Then we will discuss the benefits of integrating qualifications into other company systems to support customer contracts. And finally, we will share strategies to present and sell qualification management to the C-level.
To make sure we're on the same page, let's talk about the difference between an LMS and a QMS. For the past 20 years, various LMSs have been deployed to track and deliver online training. Their main function is to provide course enrollment statuses. The main difference with the qualification management system is that it enables companies to manage employees' qualifications and not just training. Its main function is to provide reports to management and customers stating if an employee is qualified to do their job or not.
Let's define an employee qualification. An employee qualification is an accomplishment that identifies that someone is competent for a particular job or activity. A qualification is awarded by completing a series of training activities or a defined qualification curriculum. Some regulatory bodies specify the criteria of a qualified person in certain roles, such as an electrical worker, but qualifications can also be employee-sponsored. The qualification is created internally based on the competencies and skills a person needs to have to do a job and may include certifications or credentials given by an external authorized body.
The qualification curriculum should include a mixture of educational and training accomplishments which can prove an employee is qualified to perform their assigned functions. Training activities can be instructor-led events, e-learning modules, read and sign documents, third-party certifications, and on-the-job training. And of course, if a role is critical, a proficiency assessment should be part of that qualification.
Now here's an example of a typical qualification for an aircraft mechanic for a US-based commercial airline. The qualification includes an FAA-endorsed A&P certificate, an airline-provided maintenance training, airline-provided safety management system training, human factors training, and the airline COVID-19 policy. So the beauty for this, for managers, is that a qualification consolidates various training activity enrollments into one line item that is tracked and reported against, making training easier to manage.
What can you do when you have a qualification system in place? You can increase customer confidence by sending daily reports to your customers to prove that the employees working on their equipment are qualified. You can also integrate the qualification data into other systems that can control access to equipment and/or locations. No longer you need to risk having non-qualified employees work on equipment they are not approved to operate in the first place. And make it easy to schedule the qualified employees to work the critical operations.
So let's wrap up this part of the webinar with why using a qualification management system is important to a company. Although by business definition, the main goal of a company is to generate profits, a more holistic view is the main goal of a company is to provide a quality service or product that meets or exceeds customer expectations.
Now, there's no debating that competent employees increase customer satisfaction. How often do you walk away from a business interaction and think, this person has no clue what they're doing? I'm sure it's happened to all of us at least once. Qualified employees should be the goal for every organization. but is critical for highly regulated industries where human life and equipment worth millions of dollars could be at risk.
So working around expensive, highly technical equipment takes specific knowledge and skills. We all know that. Now, we all know that most employees today, though, are forced to perform many roles. According to Harvard Business Review, 70% of employees report that they don't have mastery of the skills needed to do their jobs properly. 70%. In today's work environment, it is common that organizations are having to reposition employees to fill in gaps that happen due to low resources. So we believe that being able to determine if an employee is qualified with the correct skills to do a job at any given moment is necessary to keep businesses moving in today's environment.
Okay, so how do you determine what it takes to be qualified for a position? First, you begin with a competency model for each job role. Competencies can be anything from a set of skills, behaviors, knowledge that lead to producing results. The section we will share best practices on how to build a competency model that focuses on factors an organization has marked critical to achieving organizational and customer goals.
So best practice number 1 is to break down competencies into 4 categories. Each category may have multiple subcategories depending on your business. Now, the main 4 competency categories are personal, individual skills to maintain professional relationships; technical, knowledge and skills necessary for a job task; leadership, measurable qualities that make a good lead, supervisor, or manager; and core competencies, skills that every employee should have.
What we have found is that there are competencies that cross over multiple positions. For example, a core competency is a knowledge or skill that you want every employee in your organization to have. A best practice is to base the competencies on your company's vision statement, mission statement, and values. Common core competencies include accountability, business acumen, integrity, written communications, problem solving, results driven, collaborative relationships, continuous improvement, customer focus, and self-motivated.
So let's take a look at Boeing. I was a technical lead there many moons ago, and Boeing's mission statement reveals a very critical element of this company. It shows that Boeing is not all about the production of mechanical products. It defines that Boeing's mission includes improving people's lives, global reach, high-quality products, and people empowerment. Now, the central focus of Boeing's vision statement is the role it plays in influencing its workforce. It identifies its leadership and inspirational potential to lead them towards a conquering future. The following components can be derived from the vision statement: inspiring the world, promoting innovations, and connecting people. And then finally, core values define the basic principles that help a company progress towards its mission and vision statements. So if we look at here for Boeing, you can come up with collaborative relationships, cross-cultural resourcefulness, motivating others, building effective teams, integrity and trust, and managing diversity are the core competencies for the company Boeing.
Best practice number 3 is define skills for each individual role. We have found that job titles may not tell the entire picture of an employee's responsibilities. So you should identify each requirement needed to perform a task for a designated role. Remember to think about this as roles an employee is assigned to do, such as operate a specific piece of equipment. In the ground handling industry, a fueler must be able to operate different types of fueling equipment, such as a hydrant cart, a hydrant truck, or a fuel truck. Now, you may want to create a qualification that covers all of that equipment that the fueler might need to use, or you may want to create the qualification for each specific piece of equipment. Either way, the qualification should include all the skills for that specific role.
There are many levels of proficiency that are required for different job roles. Not everyone needs to be an expert in everything. A best practice is to build a rating chart that will enable you to measure the level of proficiency required for the position. But don't shortchange the rating just so that more people can make that rating. If you need someone skilled in a task, don't assign a general awareness of that task to that qualification. For example, I don't want a person removing my gallbladder if their level of proficiency is only general awareness on how to do it. I want someone who actually has done this before.
Isn't that the truth? Make sure that when you put these qualifications together, that you talk to the people who actually perform the job. Don't make any assumptions. Ask employees and supervisors what skills are required when creating the qualifications.
And when designing qualifications, you could create all-inclusive qualifications that list every competency required for every job, but that is harder to manage. So a best practice is to create individual or more directed qualifications that you can add or remove as needed to create a comprehensive qualification for each individual in the company. Let me explain. We recommend that you have a core competency qualification that everyone receives. Think about this as the base skills every employee should have or activities that every employee should have completed. Then look at all the duties that an employee needs to be qualified to do when at work. For some, this could be driving a company car. Since not everyone might not need to drive a company car, you would want to create a qualification for just this task. Then this qualification would be applied to each individual who in their job duties must drive the car.
So those are a few best practices in role-based qualification design. We have found that once you map out each role, it doesn't really change unless a new regulation requirement comes into place or a new piece of software or hardware is purchased. So it is important to keep a good relationship with general managers to ensure that you're informed when a role requirement changes. But it's also good practice to reach out to them quarterly just in case they forgot to contact you. Every company in every industry is different, but identifying competencies for each role will enable you to use a qualification management system to improve processes, not just in training, but in other areas of your business as well. So after you've set up a qualification management system, a training department can now be a department that provides invaluable information that can reduce risk and increase customer confidence. In this section, we'll discuss the benefits of integrating qualifications into other systems. For example, one of my customers' line of business is to support passenger service for commercial airlines. 3 times a day, at the beginning of each shift, the airline receives a report that the employees are qualified to work on the passenger check-in system and also perform other duties such as baggage handling and fueling of their aircraft. Our customers' employees are interfacing with the airline's customers as well as performing other critical functions in the aircraft turnaround process, so there is no margin for error. This example shows how integrating qualifications into other systems provides the ultimate level of transparency to customer contracts.
And why does it provide the ultimate level of transparency? Because it gives up-to-date information that is stored in a secure database that cannot be manipulated. Using a QMS provides a single source of truth. Also, pulling from a single source of data for integration into other systems eliminates potential errors that can be difficult to reconcile when data is received from multiple sources, such as training spreadsheets or from multiple locations. And of course, having a single source of information can save hours of administrative time researching and verifying information when asked.
For years, training leadership has been told they need to secure a strategic seat at the C-suite table. But how do you do this? Integrating QMS data with other systems enables training data to tie into other departments in the company. For example, to drive operational decisions such as who is scheduled to work based on who is qualified, optimizes scheduling, while minimizing risk from having non-qualified employees filling those shifts. This supports both operational management as well as risk management.
Additional parties can have access to your qualification data for verification of contractual and regulatory compliance. By integrating your QMS data with a customer system, it enables them to use a familiar system without any additional work. It can also facilitate workflow automations in your customer's platform if needed, making your customers' lives easier by better meeting their needs is the #1 path to customer retention. An example of this is here in the United States. The range supports personnel at the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Yes, it is now called Space Force rather than Air Force. Is that the range personnel cannot support a rocket launch if they do not meet all requirements for their position. So the day before a launch, this information is given to the U.S. Space Force to meet contractual obligations.
Benefit number 4 utilizes telematics or other technologies to control access to equipment and facilities based on accurate employee qualification data. There may be many scenarios where employees are not allowed to operate specific equipment or even be on site until they're qualified to do so. Tying the QMS into a telematics system will prevent an employee from starting a piece of equipment. And there's no better way of avoiding incidents caused by unqualified employees than stopping them before they even have a chance to get started.
We shared 4 main benefits of integrating qualification data into other systems. All of these increase your company's productivity, reduces the chance of fines and penalties due to noncompliance, and removes customer concerns about your employees.
So to wrap up this section, we would like to share a success story of qualification integration with the ADP Workforce Now system. A global support company using their qualification data to control whether an employee can even clock into work if they are not qualified or if they are. Now, this might seem strict, but it has changed the company's culture when it comes to training. Before, training was an afterthought, kind of a check-the-box activity. But now, training is understood to be a necessity to be able to service their customers based on the standards that the company has established. To do this, they constructed employee qualifications for all job roles and integrated with their timekeeping system with the qualification management system. No longer are managers having to stay up on who is trained or who is not. So if somebody can't clock in for their shift, they have to speak to the supervisor, and they're trained up immediately so that they can keep operations moving.
By now, you have hopefully connected the dots on how a qualification management system can support all aspects of your business. Now you know what the new generation of an LMS is, a qualification management system. You know best practices in role-based qualification design, and benefits of integrating qualifications into other systems to support customer contracts. Now we will discuss what you want from a C-level executive, and that is the permission to proceed. All you need from them is their blessing to move forward. So this section will share strategies on how to develop commitment to a QMS initiative.
So if you don't currently have the ear of the top decision maker in your company, then the first thing you want to do is find someone who does to be your sponsor. Who would benefit in your company the most from a qualification management system? Is it risk management, operations, or customer support? First, begin talking to them and honestly everyone who will listen about why implementing a QMS will benefit the organization. And with any form of investment within a business structure, a new system needs appropriate buy-in from those who are going to be using it on a day-to-day basis. It's common that some individuals say they're happy with the current way of doing things, but that's typically because they're just not comfortable changing away from what they already know. To address this concern, do your research and show them that with a QMS, you're not changing how things are currently being done, but instead you're adding a new level of data and employee measurement that will benefit your company as a whole. This is critical to a rollout of any new system. But without widespread support, a CEO or senior management team may overlook the benefits and stick with the status quo just to appease the masses.
And at the end of the day, CEOs want a positive return on investment, right? As these executives are answerable to key stakeholders and other individuals, many discussions are often based around how financially advantageous an investment is, right? So how financially advantageous it is. But of course, selling a new system based on the claim of saving money will get some attention, but it's more important to show the productivity benefits, right? So that's our key thing here is, for instance, removing data entries, errors, or allowing individual employees to have ownership of maintaining their qualification to work, right? So that's the productivity benefit, is removing data entry errors. So you want to key in on these, not just saving money. And in the busy business environment, CEOs and senior management executives want the tangible financial benefits of investing in a QMS. So as such, the more robust your argument is around what productivity and time savings mean to the bottom line, the more chance you will have to capture the imagination of any CEO. Your job is to help the executives make a critical decision that will move the company forward.
Now, most people think the easiest way to sell something is to show the financial return on investment, or the ROI. It's easy to present that qualified employees are less likely to contribute to a major compliance or safety risk incident, thus saving the organization the cost of equipment damages and workers' compensation expenses. But we suggest you start with the reduction of a pain point. And for executive, their pain points are the 3 R's: revenue, retention, and reputation, all of which they're responsible for increasing. So when revenue and reputation are lost, they can be very difficult to repair or regain. And everyone knows that the cost of retaining present employees is much less than the cost of replacing them. Industries such as aviation ground handling can have an extremely high turnover rate. If you're in this industry, that could be the pain point that supports investing into a qualification management system.
Many industries and sectors are ultra competitive today, and the majority of CEOs will not stand by and watch their opposition get a step ahead of them. This is another way to sell the idea of new technology. Conduct your own research in order to find out what software your competitors are using. Should this research discover what your business is behind, or that your business is behind the 8 ball, this is the type of information that a CEO or senior management team needs to hear. And if you find that your competition is not doing this, then you can share how to get ahead of them with the new technology.
So after you've done your research and you found a sponsor to introduce the idea of the qualification management system to the C-suite, it's time to prepare for the opportunity to pitch your idea. We'll wrap up this section by presenting 5 tips to ensure a successful C-level meeting. First, use the 10-30 rule. What that means is if you're scheduled for 30 minutes on the agenda, prepare 10 minutes of material. The executives will probably hijack the other 20 minutes just for discussions. Make sure you state your point in the first 30 seconds. If you don't get right to the point, you very well might lose their interest. Don't overdo slides in your presentation. In fact, you might not even want to have slides at all. Just have one very informative handout. Top executives want a discussion, not a slide-driven lecture. A detailed slideshow doesn't necessarily even mean that you know your stuff. Although research shows stories can be very effective in convincing data, more effective than data in getting attention, most executives do not find stories helpful in senior manager meetings, simply because of the time constraints that they're faced with. So you literally have to throw out everything you've learned about traditional presentation training. It's not about making a speech that educates, persuades, inspires, or leads. It's about raw decision making. They have so much to do in a day, they just want to make a decision and move on. And finally, be prepared for a discussion. Even ask questions of them to demonstrate that you know where the issues are in your organization, such as revenue loss from losing a customer because of poor customer service, or an incident caused by an unqualified employee. And it doesn't hurt to get them interacting with you. They are there to make critical decisions, and it's your job to help them get there.
Okay.
Great.
So we firmly believe that having a qualification management system in place provides numerous benefits. It helps enhance relationships with your customers by letting them know your employees are properly trained, qualified, and competent. It also provides an extra level of confidence to your employees based on the knowledge that their qualifications can be reported on and shared at any time. And allows the C-level executives to know that the reputation of their company is in good hands, just to name a few. I am sure that this is a lot that we've thrown at you in a short period of time. So let's go ahead, Peter, and see if there are any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Carla and Donald. Just a quick reminder to the audience, in order to ask questions, you can type them in the questions widget. That's the box at the top right-hand corner of your screen. Type in your question and click submit. But in the meantime, the first question is, how do I see a demonstration of qualification management system?
It's a great question, Peter. And we would be happy to demonstrate the MotiveLMS qualification management to anyone who is interested. We understand that this is a big change in the way of thinking about how training influences operations and customer satisfaction, but we also are very confident that it will make a change in your industry or into your company.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you for that, Donald. So another person asked, do you have any examples of work stoppage due to unqualified employees?
We have a couple of customers who have integrated QMS into either one of their own systems or one of their other customer systems. And when an employee goes out of qualification, as we had mentioned in the presentation, they're either locked out of the customer system or locked out of their own environment as well. So they're unable to perform the contracted work. Mm-hmm. So they're basically faced with a work stoppage simply because they have not maintained their qualifications.
I see. All right, thank you for that, Donald. Another person also is actually concerned about asking, what is the time frame to set up a qualification management system then?
That's a really good question, Peter. And it can vary. But basically, to set the system up can take like 7 to 10 days. However, if you're transferring historical training data or needing specific custom functionality built into the system to meet your needs, it could take up to 2 months. it's really based on the volume of historical data you want to pull in or the intricacies of the customizations. The data we really want to make sure is accurate, and sometimes the testing, if we're integrating with other systems, can take a lot of time back and forth just between the two systems. So,
great, very insightful, Donald. If we want to talk on company sizes, then what will be the minimum company size? Do you feel that a company can benefit from QMS?
Well, we have found that, naturally it works for any size company, but for companies with, 50 employees or less, you would go into what we call our silver package. And it's really just almost like a no-brainer, because if we're talking about a cost per person, naturally the more people you have, the better cost savings that you have, but they're better cost savings that you'll experience. But with the with the system itself, you're talking about roughly $10 per month per person.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you for that insight. I'm sure that some people on the webinar today will be very grateful for such detail. And finally, are there any case studies available regarding the success of implementing QMS? I'm sure some of the viewers today watching would like to know that as well.
Well, we do have various case studies posted on our website, and you're welcome to go and look at them. We have additional ones that we can always share. But one of them, that we like to talk about is how we've integrated the QMS system with one of our clients' systems that they're reporting back to their customers. And with one customer in particular, by them reporting this data on a daily basis multiple times during the day, they've actually been able to boost their contracts through other locations. So where they were only able to service that customer in a handful of locations prior to this integration, they are now servicing them at dozens and dozens of locations.
Great. Thank you very much for that, Donald. And thank you to Carla. Just a quick reminder to the audience, if you did not get your question answered, they'll be answered at a later date. So that leaves me to thank both Carla and Donald for what a great presentation, and to Motive Learning for sponsoring this event. Now, to all the attendees, you'll receive an email shortly on how you can access the on-demand version, or you can access it at our website, www.business-review-webinars.com. We look forward to sharing future webinars with you, so please do keep an eye out on our website, as mentioned, and follow us on Twitter at BRWebinars for daily updates, and join our LinkedIn community group. Once again, thank you all very much for attending today's session with Motive Learning, and hope you all have a very great day. Thank you for attending.